All right. The meeting is back in order, and at this point in time, we will call to the city clerk to bring us to the non-action items. City clerk, item A of the non-action items.
A is an overview of the sanitation abatement rapid process improvement event.
City manager.
Thank you, Mayor. This is our second presentation related to the RPI events that we've been conducting. This one was definitely one that I thought would have interest of the governing body members from the standpoint of this is one of the things that we get called upon the most related to how we're doing this process with nuisance abatement, and sanitation case was the one that was chosen. There are carryovers to the other parts that Property Maintenance Division is responsible for. At this time, Mike Hagen has a presentation to give you regarding the process that they use and the results they had. So, Mike, take it away.
Well, governing body, thank you for the opportunity for the Code Enforcement Unit to present the rapid process improvement for the sanitation abatement process. Our mission was to come up with the most efficient and effective sanitation abatement process possible. We were conducting the RPI process on this specific abatement process because it's the most difficult we have out of all of them, with vehicles, grass, graffiti, and abatement. It's the one that goes for the longest, so that we knew if we tackled this one, we actually tackled all of them. And we knew that we had a long history of complaints with this one for the time that it took. And if you remember back in 2017 and 2018, we went through the service process and we amended the codes for that. And I want to thank you for supporting us on that, because we were able to cut the time down from 40 days on average for an abatement from the time we opened a case to the time we served the warrant, from 40 days down to 20. So that was a significant impact. And I think it'll go shorter than 20, but we've hired a few new staff members, and we're just training, and it'll take a little longer. And also just as a continuation process of just making everything better within our unit. Our RPI team, we wanted to have a team that was of everybody within the unit, not just administration or not just enforcement officers. And I led the team. John Chardine is a field inspector. He is one of our lead inspectors and just got promoted to field inspector or inspector. And Heather Augustine's our office assistant. She's the one that gets the letters and sends them out immediately, and she's also the one that takes the first phone call from our constituents. So she is our first contact, and we want her on board. Wendy Reeves, our senior program administrator, and she's also our department historian. If you want to know why we did things the way we did things, ask Wendy and she'll tell you why we did it. And it was important to have Corinne Thadani, the chief of prosecution, on board, because we were going to make any changes, we had to have prosecution on board. Ken Jung was our abatement crew leader, and he's the one that organizes the cleanup of the houses that we're serving the warrants on, and he does a fantastic job. But he needed to know the entire process, and he knew his job, but we wanted him to know the entire thing, and he needed to have the input. And Brad Burke, it was a new property maintenance inspector, and we wanted to have a fresh set of eyes on a new guy that hadn't done it, that many of them, and to see it. And we got to give kudos and thanks to our bench strengths. And bench strengths were people that we called in and said, look, we're having issues with other departments or communication gaps and errors with other departments, from IT to the legal department, water department, TPD. It's nothing that they were doing wrong, but like we might be struggling communicating with them. Or like with water department, we're trying to get information from them and it was delayed, so we'd call somebody from their department, and they came into the meeting and they sat down with us and they solved problems with us, and they were as excited as we were to come. And we were shocked that as soon as we called and said, would you come to our RPI process? They said, absolutely, we'll come. And it was important to have the mix of the team that wasn't just one group of people. And one of the examples is we sat down and we broke off into groups, and I sat down with some of the police, and we talked about the warrant process we have. And one of the problems that we have is that when we're serving warrants, we'll foresee that we're going to have a problem at a house, and we need an officer to show up, and they're busy, so we got to wait on the officers, and that's a delay, and it drags the thing on. What solution? And we came up with a solution with the community policing that on Mondays when we schedule out our warrants, the community officers will actually change their schedule to meet with us and jive it up. Sounded like a terrific idea. We were all set. We were going to put it in the process. And our youngest inspector said it was a terrible idea. And we go, no, it's not a terrible idea. It's a good idea. Then he finally explained, he goes, the time of those warrants changes every single time. Somebody abates the property before we serve the warrant. It rained on Tuesday. A warrant that took 6 hours was only supposed to take 4, and you're going to move those community police officers' hours, and then we're not going to serve the warrant. You're going to actually cause a problem between us and the police. So if we used just our administration, or we used a small group, we would have actually incorporated a step that could have caused a problem and not a solution. So it was really important that we had a team like we had, and they did an outstanding job. Some examples of barriers and solutions that we came through. We serve on average 20 warrants a week, sometimes even 30 warrants a week. And in that, we serve a form called a warrant receipt, a warrant return receipt. And what that is we have to fill that out on every warrant, and it says everything that we have taken from the property. We have to fill it out twice, once for the courts, once for the person on the property, and we leave it with the person saying what we took, and we give it to the judge. Well, you can imagine if we're doing 2 40-foot roll-offs of stuff that we're taking, we're filling out a receipt that is 3 pages long, and we're filling it out twice. And we're filling it out while someone's yelling at us because we've taken their property. And that can take a half hour per form. Well, working with the courts and working with prosecution and working with everybody else, we came with a solution of taking a picture of the first one, putting it in PDF, and the courts are going to accept it. That was a simple solution that came together just because we sat down and said, what can we do to improve the service? Another one was access to information from other departments. When we sat down with the water department, we explained to them that their information from the water files is critical for us, and we have to either go back to the station to open it up and look at it on the computer, or we got to call the E311 phone number and go through the whole routing system and wait until it's our turn. And sometimes they don't believe it's us, and we got to do it. They were pleased to assist us with a direct line. They were pleased to show us a quicker way to work the system, and they're also going to help us. They're getting a new system later in the year, and they're going to train us on how to work that in the field. And they've also volunteered to give us a monthly report that will show us their chronic violators and the people that are stealing water. And what we're doing is we're going out and we're looking at the people that are stealing water and seeing if we can open cases and doing a condemnation on their property. And then we'll also look at notifying the police and seeing if we can tag team all 3 departments to attack these people that are committing crimes upon the city. And so that's really nice that we brought these people in, and we're actually working not in silos, but working as a team. And we also had inefficient communication in the approval process with the warrants. And again, if you're doing 30 warrants and you have inspectors touching them, administration touching them, the city prosecutor touching them, going there, being reviewed, coming back to us, going to the judge, coming back to the inspector, it's quite time consuming. And we were able to find a share file and notification system that we're hoping shortens that back and forth. We're still working on it. There's some glitches in it, but ultimately that thing should shorten it up. And it was a nice way to see that we can shorten the process. There was 157 steps in an abatement from when the inspector shows up and he opens the case to the minute we hand the warrant to the person and we drive away from the property. We were able to eliminate 21 steps, which is 13.4%, and an increase in efficiency, which helped eliminate the steps in both time and cost savings. These are the little maps showing the steps, and each little post-it note is a step. And we laid every single step out there, and then we asked at every little step, why do we do it? How do we do it? Do we need to do it? Can we do it differently? And can we do it more effectively or efficiently? Every single step, and we went over this, every single one, we went back and forth. Either our team or even our facilitators did that with us. And we broke every single one. We were able to cut out a bunch of them, but it was laborious and time consuming. But it was beneficial not only to me, but all 6 of our team players fully understand the whole process a whole lot better than we thought we did. And we were able to cut out a lot of the steps and make the process a whole lot better and bulletproof it a whole lot more. And in summary, it's improving our customer service, it's improving the service and coordination of what we're doing, and it's reducing our service delays to be more effective and do a better job if we're out there. So I'm available for comment or questions.
That's great. That's exciting.
Well, good, thank you.
That's good. Yay.
Thank you, Your Honor. I am so excited to see you guys having gone through that and eliminate so many steps. I'm curious, do you have to change how any of these processes interact with See, Click, Fix so we can provide better feedback to constituents that report issues?
No, I'll just say.
And that's fine.
I want to give you a good answer there.
Yeah.
Did we change any of the process, See-Click? No.
Okay.
We work with that all the time when we work with better answers, because we will review the way we answered it and go, just think if you're the one that wrote that and this is the answer you got back, what would you think of the person writing it to
Well,
you?
the fact that you've identified that right there is music to my ears, so I really appreciate all the work you've done. Thank you.
Well, thanks.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Haugen, I just want to say thanks for the job you do. I know that your position often stinks because no one wants to come out and be cited, and on the other hand, you have people pounding on you saying we're not being tough enough on, on code enforcement. So you're kind of in a no-win situation. I appreciate what you do, and I also wanted to, he's going to get mad here, but Mr. John Chardine out there in the audience. Yes, that's you right there, buddy. He's a property maintenance inspector in District 4 for a couple of years, and now I think.
Yeah, he's
Yes,
supervisor.
moved on.
I
Yeah, he's moved
got
on to
tongue-tied, and
Green.
he's my field supervisor.
I should not have praised him so much. He got promoted.
I live in the city.
I know you do. I'm not going to say where you live, but I do know you live in the city. But I just want to thank him. He did some great things in District 4, solved a lot of problems. So I appreciate both you guys' work and all of code enforcement. I know it's tough job. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I echo Councilor Emerson's congratulations on working together and working smarter. And I know you guys are busy because I met the new guy who took John's place out there the other day at the council meeting, Brad Burkett, I think.
No, Wolfley.
No, yeah.
Brad
that's that
Wolfley,
one.
right.
Yeah, and he announced it at the NIA that he had opened 157 cases since he took over that position. That just gives you an idea of what the workload is that your division has to work with. So I applaud you for your efforts. I think that RPI process is an excellent way to look at a lot of what we do in the way of how we serve our citizens.
When I found out that I was going to have the privilege of having the RPI, I will say that I wasn't pleased at first, but as I chewed on it and realized it actually was a good thing for our office, and then after going through it, I'm glad we did, and I want to have another piece of our department have the process, so as it gets back around, I'm kind of excited about it. Our facilitators, who I want to brag about, Leah Bowling, Darren Coughlin, and Sherry Schoonover, that was their first RPI. I can tell you, you would never have known it. They had their act together, and the training that they were provided to do what they did with us, you would have thought that this was what they did for a career. So they were fantastic.
I just want to say thank you to the city manager. Throughout your interview process, one of the things that you talked about was Lean Six Sigma efficiencies and how do we eliminate waste. And this is wonderful. This is absolutely wonderful to see it and to see the excitement in the teams, because I know then when you show up and you're like, hey, I'm a green belt or I'm doing this and I want to help you improve, the response that you get is exactly what you just talked about, Mike. It's like, I don't need improvement. And then you start doing the process and you're like, oh my God, this is crazy. It's amazing. So it's good stuff. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And then can I finish off? I promised my group I wouldn't make them stand, but can I see them at least stand up?
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
I did promise them, but thank you.
All right, we now move on to item 6B, if the clerk could read.
B is an update on the Topeka Fire Department strategic plan.
City manager.
Thank you, Mayor. As we went through the budget process for the CIP, there was some discussion related to some different issues in the fire department and trying to understand what the strategic plan was. We needed to circle back and do that. And so Now that we've completed that, worked with the chief, and he's going to go back through, we've talked about the strategic plan in the past, but I think the chief's refined it, and so there's a presentation on the strategic plan tonight. We'll have a discussion about ALS in a week, and then also start talking about our next stationing location for the next fire station. So, but we're going to start tonight with talking about a strategic plan. We need to start at the top first, and then we'll work our way down into some more specific issues. So, Chief, the floor is yours.
Good evening, governing body, Madam Mayor. The fire department's strategic plan serves as a roadmap to ensure the next several years we continue to meet the community's expectations for the work we do. Topeka, the state capital of Kansas, is a strong, vibrant city of almost 127,000 citizens, and the men and women of the fire department are honored to serve this community. Recognizing that strategic plans are dynamic, and numerous factors will impact our department's progress on our goals. It is important to us to do what we say we're going to do. Each year we will create a plan of action highlighting those objectives and tasks selected as priorities for the year. Additionally, we will continue to inform the governing body of our successes in implementing our action items and to observe as an annual opportunity to review the goals outlined in this plan, discussing apparatus and staffing, facilities, training, equipment and technologies, partnerships, outreach programs, and funding to make it consistent and also for future growth if needed. Tonight with me are the members of the staff, administrative staff. We've got Deputy Chief Kelly Adams. We have EMS Division Chief Richard Siegel, Training Chief Kevin Flory, Fire Marshal Mike Martin, and Division Operations Chief Eric Bauer behind me here. So as you know, we do provide fire protection, fire prevention, public education, and emergency medical response to the community. What I'm going to be going through here is actually looking at each division within the fire department and talking about their strategic plans, ideas for the next few years. Each division head was given the opportunity to meet and talk as a group. They come up with their strategic plan ideas for the next couple of years here. So on the administration end, the strategic plan, actually, each one of them is going to show you professional development. So I won't mention that again after this one, each slide, because I feel that's very important for the fire department from the bottom up, that we need to professionally develop our employees. And we need a succession plan, not only within management, but also in other specialty jobs within the department. We got to make sure that it's like the three-legged stool I once talked about, was you need manpower, you need training, and you need equipment. So we have to make sure that our people are developed well, that our fleet is operating, we have the right equipment and the right training. Another part of the management position is to review the SOGs and SOPs, the standard operating guidelines and the standard operating procedures. When I first came to Topeka, there was SOPs and SOGs that were 2010, 2011, have never been addressed. So under Deputy Chief Kelly Adams, he's been reviewing them. We've passed them through. We're going through the process where it goes through us, we look at it, and then it goes out to the fire department as a whole, and individuals have an opportunity to speak about these SOPs and SOGs. Then it will go over to HR and legal to determine that they were meeting the requirements that we are looking at. And also, one of the things I was wanting to push forward was accreditation. Now, we did have a sluggish start with the accreditation process because we were going through negotiations, and we were focused on that, and I feel that we've come to a compromise with the labor union and hope to move forward from this point forward as it pertains to any of these strategic goals we've set forth. The operations part, you know, we try to meet national and regional standards, both on the fire response, on the EMS response, and Also, one of the important factors, like we said, about the equipment, that these firefighters, fire personnel, their equipment is what they need. It meets national standards. We do have a plan in place for the likes of our equipment and everything, and our apparatus, that the turnover, 10 years is a normal length of lifespan of personal protective equipment, and we will be going through a big turnover this year as we have a lot of PPE that's starting to go out of date. On to the fire prevention, under Fire Marshal Martin, you know, community risk reduction, that was a big push that I want to push through the fire department. And a big example of that was just a couple of Saturdays ago in the Oakland area. The fire department, with a partnership with the American Red Cross, with a partnership with the NIA in Oakland, they installed 379 smoke detectors in 198 residences. So that's something that we're still trying to do. The American Red Cross will be going out with them again in another location in the city, hopefully sometime soon. Another thing that we're working on is having those frontline personnel start performing duties that, like Fire Inspection 1, that's where they are able to go into the smaller, low-risk businesses like a small store, shop, and be able to do a fire inspection for that, the owner of that facility or the leaser of that facility. Then that doesn't take away from the fire inspectors who can go do the commercial properties and such. And in fact, Fire Marshal Martin has given himself a lofty goal. Wants to increase the inspections, the annual inspections of commercial industrial properties by 50%. And that's about 1,500 commercial and industrial properties that they will be able to do now, because what has happened, they've hired a fire plans reviewer that works with the fire inspectors, so that takes them off having to review all the fire plans, and now they can go out and do their inspections, and the fire plan reviewer will be doing the job. The four of them we're doing in the interim. The training division, mentoring program, it's already started. We're new firefighters who can go out on the street, and when they go out there, we have a seasoned captain work with them and mentor them while they're going through their first 6 to 12 months on the job. And we're promoting the certifications for the positions that people specifically hold. Apparatus operator, you know, when you move up into an officer position, getting the certifications for that, which we're all part of the new contract when it finally gets voted on by yourselves. And then train and prepare the members for the specialty jobs within the department, like the fire inspectors, the fire investigators, the fire trainers, public education officers, to make sure that individuals have the stepping stones to move up within the department in those specialty positions. On the EMS side, the big push has been ALS. We have made our way through that. We are obviously going to work within the national and state standards. We have to work under the Kansas Board of EMS, and we have to make sure all our paramedics, EMTs have the basic skills and the required certifications to perform the job. You did hear tonight about the community outreach team. This has been going on for over a year and a half, from talking to actually doing it, and working with the EMS division, Richard Siegel and Officer Clam, being able to get out into the community to try to prevent those calls that are coming in at 911, going and meeting with these people before they need or think they need help, and trying to get them the services they need within the community besides the emergency room or fire or EMS or even AMR. The continued community programs like the hands-only CPR, learn to utilize an AED, and also the Stop the Bleed program. These are things under the community risk reduction. We need to get out to the community as a whole and try to get them to try to take care of a lot of things they could do until we get on the scene. and obviously the expansion of the advanced life support citywide. We're starting off small and to grow it. We have the initial equipment to get going to start that. You'll hear that next week. Chief Siegel will explain to you how we're going to go through this, how we look to in 2020, the 1st of January, or close to the 1st of January 2020, is to have our paramedics out on the street with the equipment they do need to perform the duties as a paramedic for Topeka Fire Department. In summary, obviously we're going to address the needs for the creating and utilizing the community-driven strategic plan. We are still pushing for accreditation. We still push for partnerships within the community. In fact, today we met at TCALC to talk to them to get more involved with their specialty programs like the police department have. They're doing a great job with that. Working with District 501 to try to help when we respond to a fire and there's students that we find are displaced because of a fire at their home, that we will have a contact with the District 501 who can bring those special needs for that family or that student to the point of even getting them transport the next day to their high school or their school of attendance. Something that we can't do, but we can actually inform them so they can get it going sooner to help the families. The standard of cover, the risk assessment, you'll be hearing from that on Deputy Chief Adams. Will be bringing that to you in 2 weeks because there's a lot of information. If we did it all tonight, we'd be here till after midnight. So that's why we're trying to break it up to do this over a 3-week period. And we will at the same time create the strategic plan and change it as they need. As I said earlier, it's dynamic. It could change for any reason, from everything from budget, to recruitment. It changes how we're going to operate within the city, and obviously becoming a Center for Public Safety Excellence accredited department, which I think this city deserves. The fire department can do it. It'll be a great benefit to the city as a whole, and this will allow us to obtain and maintain the types of service our community not only needs but expects from us. So with that, if there are any questions, I'd gladly stand for them.
Deputy Mayor Clear?
So what do the firefighters think of this? Do they have input into this, or is this just a management tool?
We brought the management team together. And each one division represents, obviously, the part of the administration. So this was a team concept. Working towards, when we got through the contract negotiations, that really helped a lot. It's got us on a better path as to where we're going and where we need to go. During negotiations, obviously, the information come out of how ALS was working or going to work, or how we saw it working, and it could change next year. We could say, okay, we need to move over this way a little bit. We just want to get it started and show it is something that Topeka could use in a great way. And obviously with our community outreach team going out there, we can see ALS being as one of the goals for the governing body is a safe and healthy community.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Emerson, to be followed by Councilman Padilla.
Thank you, Mayor. Chief Duke, as you're aware, earlier tonight we had a big, long discussion about residency requirements, and a lot of that was brought on initially by the need to recruit more firefighters and police officers. I was talking recently with a firefighter, and he told me that one of the problems you have is that, and we used to face this with police, was you make an offer to a recruit, and then there's a long time period before they can get into the academy. And first of all, I don't know if that's accurate, but if it is, I know with police at least, we did something to change that, where we now give the person, I think, almost a salary from day one. There's something we did there to fix that gap. So we're not, all the effort you guys have to expend to get one good recruit, it would, it'd be wasted if that happens. So I guess that's one question I have, and my second question will be, with recruitment, is there anything holding you back from doing maybe what, like, the police is doing? I mean, is it a budget thing, or someone can help you with there?
Yes, sir. There's a few reasons for this. One of the most important ones are the person has to come in with the certifications prior to being even offered a job. But when they get a conditional offer of employment, they have to have their Kansas EMT certification, and firefighter 1, firefighter 2 is an option, and a valid driver's license. That's the high school or GED, a EMT certification from the state of Kansas, and a valid driver's license. Then we do give them the training. Well, we'll have them to have that EMT. That's a 12-hour college course, and it's between $1,800 to $2,000 to do that. So they have to have that just to apply for the job. Police department doesn't have that. They do their training in-house for the state certification. Individuals for the fire department are having to come in with that state certification.
Okay, thank you, and I know it's getting late here.
No, that's
But
right.
thank you for that, and like I said, I would be interested if there's some ways we could think out of the box to make sure we're not losing people between recruitment and academy. That would, I just appreciate that. You don't have to answer right now, but thank you.
One thing I might add, if anybody wants to sit down with me and the administration to discuss any parts of this that comes along, we're more than willing and able to do that. If you want a personal sit down to talk about anything about the fire department and what we're doing.
Councilman Padilla.
Thank you, Mayor. Chief, as you know, I had the honor and privilege to serve on the Civil Service Commission and got a chance to listen and see a lot of those applicants coming in. And I was encouraged by the number of people who want to be a part of the Topeka Fire Department. And that was a question that always came to my head. I knew that they had that certification, that EMT coming in. And I got to thinking, and maybe you've thought about this, of how maybe expanding your training academy to provide that training. I know it would extend the hours and the length of your training academy, but to be able to do that way you would have in-house people that you've trained firsthand, and so they would be qualified candidates for the fire department. Or failing that, is there an agency like Washburn University or somewhere near that you could partner with to provide that training? So that, I know that's a stumbling block for candidates to come in. If there was some way to help overcome that and to be able to bring more of those qualified with the certification, I'm saying you need to keep that in there, but some other way to find how to make that possible for that to be achieved so that you grow your pool of applicants is something that you may have discussed. And if not, I'd love to visit with you about it, about the idea, if there's any way possible, because we do need good firefighters, and we have good firefighters. But if we can somehow help that process of certification and help with your training efforts and needs, I think the body would be really receptive to any ideas that you and your staff or some of your line firemen would come up with. Just a thought.
Yeah, and one thing I was amiss on here, besides the EMT and the driver's license, I forgot about the CPAT test, which is a candidate physical agility test, which is given in 3 places immediately near here: Kansas City at the Blue River Community College, Johnson County, and Hutchinson. And they have to drive there to go take that certification. And it costs anywhere between $125 and $150. Now, they do get reimbursed for the first time they take it. You know, they pass it. But after that, that's out of their own pocket. And these young people who may not have the means have to find their way up to take that CPAT test and also pay for it.
Yeah, Mayor, if I may follow up.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up, because we've talked a little bit about that. And I think that if there was a way that the fire department could give its own CPAT test locally, that would be a huge boon, I would think, to your recruiting efforts. And looking at what that might cost and what the space would need to be, I think that's something that would merit some investigation, because anything you can provide on site so that they can come to you and take care of those things. I know the police department administers its own physical fitness tests, and that helps a lot. And reducing those boundaries like fees and costs to applicants is important. So if there's anything that we can discuss about that, I'd be more than open to meetings on that.
I'd be glad to do that with you, sir.
Thank you.
So for the body, I don't want to
Yes.
rush the meeting, but we have 15 minutes left. If there is a desire to continue having this conversation, I am happy to ask for an extension of the meeting. Okay, that's a no. But I do want to encourage the rest of the body to do take Chief Duke on the ability of reaching out to the chief and making sure that you meet with staff and that you're able to get your questions asked before the strategic plan comes back again in front of us. Okay, see no further comment. I think that would lead us to our next item, which is announcements.
The May 14th agenda includes one proclamation. We have 3 presentations. We have 1 action item for the labor agreement for the firefighters, and then we have 3 discussions. We have a discussion on filing and disposition of tort claims, governing body goals and priorities update, and then the second conversation for fire department advanced life support program overview.
City Manager.
I have nothing further, Mayor.
Thank you, City Manager. I do have a few comments. The first thing that I want to say is thank you. As many of you know, I lost my mom, who was my grandma. That was the person who raised me. And the last week has been extremely hard, but what has been amazing is the show of love and support from this body, from the employees that knew about the situation, from people in the community who have been just wonderful as I deal with this grief. Tell you, it was really interesting to receive the news Friday and then have to run to a meeting at 9 o'clock in the morning and try to keep it together all the way through Monday while we did the jump event in the evening. And that's when I finally cracked. But again, your support has been amazing. So thank you all for your kind words and your emails and your comments. She was an amazing woman. I'll just make a short story so that you guys kind of know, which is not really legal, but this woman was so phenomenal that after she had raised her kids, gotten one of her kids out of drugs by moving him from New York to Puerto Rico, and in public smacking him because she caught him in a bar when he wasn't supposed to be in the bar, decided that when my mom had to move to Puerto Rico because she was, trying to get her life together after a divorce, that she was going to take on my brother and myself. She was already done with kids, but she not only ended up raising me and having to work another job, she lost all of her benefits because she was not old enough to have kids, so she just, refused her benefits and used somebody else's social even so that I could get WIC and so that I could have food. And she taught me the value of hard work. That woman, if you've ever been around me and you know that I do arts and crafts and I do stuff and I'm really nitpicky about cleaning and I'm always cooking, man, that woman would, as long as it was legal, ethical, and moral, except for that Social Security, and I forgive me for that one, man, she would do it. She knew how to do flowers. She knew how to cook for family. She would make clothing. She did anything that she could to provide for her family. And everything I am, I owe to my grandmother and my grandpa. That union man that busted his butt working very hard, and that woman that didn't have more than a second grade education that worked extremely hard so that I could have everything that I am. And your mayor is a product of her grandmother. So Mama, rest in peace, I love you. Next week I will not be here. I am going to be in Israel, and Councilwoman Deputy Mayor is going to be leading that. And that's all my comments. Councilwoman Ortiz.
Thank you for that story, Mayor. It's always good to hear about our loved ones. And we love you, and grieving has no time. Go ahead and cry. You deserve that. It's a joyful cry. First of all, I think that the fire chief left out El Centro. I think they helped on Saturday as well. Lalo Munoz. They were very instrumental in making sure that the Hispanic community got their smoke detectors, and I didn't want to leave them out, and that they were communicated with. So that number was just phenomenal, just phenomenal. I apologize. I was at the ER they're trying to figure out if I got bronchitis, pneumonia, or what I got. Maybe they just want me to shut up. I don't know. I do want to say that the seniors ride free in May on our intercity transit, and you got to be 65 and up, so that doesn't include you. I hope that we would pass the word to get elderly on the transit so that they can continue to ride and check it out. And I think that's awesome that the Metro thinks outside the box. Thursday night with Chief Cochran at Tacos El Sol from 6 to 7:30. We're going to have coffee with Chief Cochran, 2124 Southeast 6th Street. I know a while back we had talked, and they were robbed, and I asked the chief, why don't we just go over there? And him and his team is real receptive to going over there and just letting them know, because there was, we don't care. So we're going over because we care. So I hope to see you there. I don't drink coffee, but I'll have a taco. So just know their tacos are outstanding, and we hope to see you there. Chief, I hope you would bring some magnets so we can pass out. But I think it would be awesome, and I have talked to the chief, and I think we're going to just start doing this in my district in East Topeka, and I'm sure he's welcome to yours as well. I think that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Emerson?
Thank you, Mayor. My condolences on the loss of your mom. I just wanted to reiterate for Mr. Padilla that seniors 65 and up ride free on the Metro in May.
I asked you to join me, take your son to work or something.
Okay, Dad.
Councilman Padilla?
I want to thank the chief and his staff also for the installation of the fire alarms. My mother was really pleased to get her brand new one placed where she had been worried about it, so thank you very much. I just want to make a quick announcement. Both Councilwoman Ortiz and Tony have agreed to come by an event that I'm hosting for Highcrest NIA this coming Saturday, May 11th, from 9:30 to 11:30. It's a conversation with the councilman, and it's a very informal event, dress casually. We're going to be flipping pancakes and giving away free pancakes and juices, and just taking the time to recognize the efforts of that NIA, what they've been doing, and try to elicit a few more people to help them get more work done by growing that membership and listening to their needs. And the big thing centered to this event is to make the ask. I'm going to ask them, what can you help us get done for your neighborhood? And elicit their input and work to get some of the things done that they have been asking for. So if you have a minute or two and you want to stop out there, you're more than welcome to stop by. I appreciate that. And that's all I have, and I'll pick you up at where's the bus stop?
29th and California.
29th California.
Councilman Jensen?
Oh, my. Thank you for sharing that touching story. I really appreciate it. I've had an interesting journey of discovering how to be a father, as many of you know, and it's fascinating to me that Hunter is not yet 3 months old and has already discovered his scowl for my dad jokes. That's right. Yeah, I'm not
He
getting
learned it
aware
from me.
already. It's fascinating how much I've learned about that just in the few months that he's been here, and part of me feels bad for my lovely bride and her staff of gals at her office who work so hard to take care of him during the day, because they tell me nothing lights up his face like hearing my voice all the way across the office. So even at less than 3 months, that's an incredibly touching experience that I totally did not expect. Sunday is Mother's Day. This is the first year I'm obligated to celebrate that for my lovely bride. And let me tell you, her list of demands is huge. And what I've learned out of all of this is she deserves every single one of those and more. Mothers work incredibly hard. I'm learning, again, just how hard they work from our experience here. And I just wanted to say thank you to all the moms out there because it is incredibly hard to raise kids, and they do the brunt of the child rearing, at least in my experience, and I wanted to send personal thanks to that. Friday is also Amber's birthday, which makes this weekend doubly expensive and busy for me. Happy birthday, honey. I love you. My last comment is I wanted to thank the folks at Visit Topeka because this week is Tourism Week, as I understand, and I got to spend the morning at Josie's Baking Company greeting folks and trying their delicious food, and I cannot believe how many people go in that place on a Tuesday morning between 9 and 10. Oh my gosh. That is an incredible gym in our community, and not to mention a tasty one. So if you haven't made it over there, please go check it out, and also check out all the tourism opportunities in our community. Thanks so much. Have a great week.
Councilman Mays doesn't have comments. Councilman Cohen doesn't have comments. Councilman Lesser.
A couple things real quick. I wanted to thank the fire department and the local, of course, the local 83 I went to Wichita and took part in the Fire Ops 101. And it was a great experience. I encourage you to do it if you get an opportunity. I did walk away with a definite heightened respect for the physicality of the job they do, and got to go through burning buildings. It was really a cool experience. So thank you for that opportunity. I truly appreciate it. Then I have one request. One thing that I have noticed, and with the summer coming up, the meetings, about 6:45 it starts cooling off in here. So I'm thinking maybe if somebody comes up and turns the air on like 45 minutes before the meeting, it might be fairly cool before the meeting starts. Just a suggestion, but kind of a request.
All right.
Duly noted, duly noted.
Councilwoman Hiller.
We had a mechanical issue that's caused this, so it's more than just turning it on, but we will continue to work on that.
Quickly as well, I wanted to personally, but also on behalf of some constituents who hoped that I would say something, recognize the passing of Ed Hughes in the last week as well. His nickname was Train, but he had Hughes Conoco across from Sumner School, the first black-owned gas station west of the Mississippi.
Wow.
And was a wonderful gentleman and mentor in the community. He sponsored ball teams all the time, and it's a historic station. It's still there across just north of Sumner, but he passed this week, and he just was a wonderful man and will be very much missed. Want to remind everybody I have extra schedules if you need them. The Brown v. Board 65th starts on Friday with a symposium. There's stuff during the day, but also after school, evenings, and weekends throughout the entire 10 days, and so I certainly hope people will come, and kids and families pick at least two things, one thing you'd be comfortable with and one thing that's kind of new that you think, I don't know. So we have these if you need them. And last, I was really pleased with this meeting, with the agenda and with the meeting and the participation that we had and the things that the staff brought to us, and just wanted to say that in general about all of the things. We all have been reached out to by our constituents, obviously, on various issues, and everybody's tuning in and paying attention. And it drills down to little things, like in Mike's report, where he had that incredible RPI experience, but in the part of that was people talking together about code and policing, and of course, with the shooting recently in my district, people in Washburn and people in Central Park neighborhood have been saying, well, is this time maybe we could step up some of these efforts again, and it's nice to know that without the tragedy, those pieces are coming together anyway, so thank you for that.
We need to extend because we
minutes.
have,
All right, she's got
we
2
have
minutes.
we have public comment.
Oh. You're right.
So, before the meeting
Thank you.
adjourns, so Councilwoman,
I'll make a motion that we extend until the end of public comment.
Second?
we have a motion and a second. Seeing no comment, we proceed by voting. Sorry, just want to keep us within the rules.
I was going to talk really fast.
10 yes.
10 having voted yes, the motion passes. This meeting is extended until public comment is completed. Councilwoman,
Now
Deputy
I
Mayor
don't
Claire.
have to talk so fast. Don't forget, German Fest is coming up in Oakland, June 1st and 2nd. Get that on your calendars. Mexican Fiesta, July. Put that down so you don't forget it. I actually want to thank the mayor because she wasn't able to give the welcoming to the International Association of Administrative Professionals Midwestern Regional event in Topeka. So I got to do that, and what a lovely bunch of people. That was really, I enjoyed that. And I did want to recognize Brendan. What an awesome job you did with a terrible situation at the zoo. I've read international media on that, and they complimented you on how you did that. So, great, great job, Topeka. Michelle, sorry for your loss.
Thank you. All right, we have several individuals signed up for public comment. I know that Mr. McClure is not here, so we move on to Ms. Laura Wetzel. Ms. Wetzel, thank you for your patience.
Well, thank you for extending your time, I appreciate it. I certainly picked a day to do this public comment. God has a sense of humor. Well, I wrote it down so I wouldn't exceed my 4 minutes. My name is Laura Antoinette Wetzel, and thank you for your time. I am a convicted felon releasing from the Federal Bureau of Prisons last September 27th. Since being back in Topeka and society, I have faced many obstacles and challenges. Being homeless and convicted felon, it was very hard to find housing and be given a chance. I was told by an agency that was supposed to be helping me that I was a felon and would live in a bad part of town for a year. I did indeed live in the hub of central Topeka. My medications for 1 month is over $2,000. Because of Mary Tibbetts and her intern, Carrie Bosch from Stormont Vale and the Homeless Task Force, I was able to have health access and Careline my meds without too many gaps. I would like to thank the City of Topeka for their homeless programs and Shelter Plus Care coupons. While at the Hope Center, I noticed several individuals and families that needed assistance, but because of prior chances, bad choices, or simply not making an appointment, were kicked off of a Vallejo or a housing program. I would like to be a part of the solution. I would like the City of Topeka and will be glad to volunteer my time to take data from various agencies to include mirror reentry programs, drug treatment programs like New Dawn, Battered Women's Shelter, the Topeka Rescue Mission, and the Hope Center. I'm a better person today because of my very difficult incarceration. Statistics show my recidivism rate to be high, but through every door that closed, my faith strengthened and I endured the struggle. I was glad to be at the Nehemiah Jump meeting and surprised that there wasn't any testimonies from people receiving Social Security, SSI, SSDI, or VA pensions. Living on this kind of income is very difficult and is a struggle. I thank my church, my children, and the community for accepting me back and will continue to be a light and a ray of hope to all I encounter. Now, I will add that since being home, I did 28 days in the halfway house. I got 2 awards for going above and beyond. I reached out to Barry Feeker many times. I love him, trying to work on the homeless problem and help. I tried to go into Shawnee County and Topeka Correctional. Even with the blessing of my probation officer, I was not allowed. The Topeka Capital Journal is doing a story on me. It should be printed this Saturday about my past and my present and my church. And I reached out to Advisor Excel and about a community homeless program that I would like their help, and we'll be meeting with them in my church Friday at 1 o'clock. I could have went to another state. I decided to come back to Topeka because the spirit here has always been great. I wanted to let the citizens know that incarceration served its purpose. I'm a better person today, and I want to continue to be a light, and I would like to extend to Chief Cochran, if you need me to volunteer and come out to speak to young people, adults, about say no to drugs and crime, I'm there. If I could be a picture on a poster board from here to the Colorado border and say about how glad I am to be in such a loving community with a good spirit, I would. So thank you, everybody, for giving me the opportunity to be a voice, and I love what you're doing, and I feel safe in this city, even though when I lived in central Topeka, there was gunfire all around me every day, and there was not one moment where I didn't think that the Topeka Police Department wouldn't respond. So with what little resources everybody has to work with, I'm glad that you all are doing such a good job. Ms. Hiller, I see you all the time at community events, and I just thank you for giving me the opportunity to be a voice.
Thank you for your comments. Next person signed up to speak is Dave Jackson. Next person signed up to speak is Mr. Ledbetter, and he's not here either. So at this point in time, the meeting is adjourned.